If you're looking for an easy and relatively affordable way to upgrade and personalize your 2015 to 2023 Challenger, then the Morimoto XRGB LED headlights might just be the perfect fit. Featuring OEM plus good looks, enhanced lighting output, and customizable accent lighting, these headlights do a little bit of everything in one slick package. At the end of the day, we are all modifying our cars in an attempt to stand out from the crowd, and the XRGBs will certainly accomplish that. But they do it in perhaps the best way possible, keeping things a bit more subtle. Now when it comes to the look, you would be forgiven, especially looking at them here on the table, for thinking that these were standard OEM headlights. They feature that same type of styling you get from the factory with the dual halo rings over the projector lenses. But the similarities pretty much stop there. Those LED halos on both ends are RGB, with a separate dedicated white chip. What that means is that they can light up the standard white if you want to blend in and have them look totally stock, but move a slider on the Morimoto app on your phone and you have near infinite color possibilities. You also have a preset for amber if you want to go that route, so you can match or complement any paint color or theme you've got going on. The app is going to work via Bluetooth, and it is compatible with both iOS and Android devices, so you can switch up the color pretty much whenever you want. There is also a memory function built in, meaning that the lights will return to the last setting from when the car was switched off. So if you set these to green, you can just set them and forget them. The inner rings are also going to function as your turn signals, as they did on your factory lights, so all of your functionality remains intact. And for those of you who might own a Demon or a Hellcat, or just want the street cred that comes with it, these centers in the inner lights actually pop out. So you can pull them out and you have the extra air intake there too. So again, all functionality remains intact. The other place where the XRGBs differ from stock though are in those main beams. Instead of standard halogen or HID projectors, these are powered by LEDs. They are bi LEDs, so they will function as your low and high beam, again just like your stock setup. Only the LED power means that these will further enhance your car's lighting output, far outshining any of the factory options with a crisp white light, a wide beam, and a nice sharp cutoff. So you get great output and cool looks with a plug-and-play setup. Construction also makes these a fan favorite, as with all of Morimoto's offerings. The outer housings are made from ABS plastic with UV-resistant polycarbonate lenses over top. Those lenses feature that UV coating for another layer of protection against fading, cracking, and yellowing, so they should look good for a long time to come. Inside, the main beams are powered by Morimoto's Korea Optic bi-LEDs. They also use die-cast aluminum heat sinks on the inside to provide more than enough cooling to keep everything running smoothly. And as you can tell, the fit and finish on these is excellent. They do come with a 5-year limited warranty, and they've got integrated breathers and adjusters on the back, and the adjusters means they meet all DOT and SAE regulations, making them fully street legal. Pricing comes in at about $900, and though that's not a small amount of money, they are comparatively rather inexpensive when you cross-shop them against even stock replacements from Mopar. And these are going to give you, again, far better lighting output, all that customizability, and factory-inspired styling. So if you are going to replace your factory headlights anyway and you're looking to go with that OEM setup, it actually makes more sense to save money and upgrade with these. Installation gets an easy 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 1 hour to complete. You are going to have to pull off your front bumper cover, but that's not nearly as intimidating as it sounds. And once you're in there, these are going to plug and play with no wiring or modifications required. We're going to walk you through the whole process right now as well, so with that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a 3/8 ratchet, 3/8 extension, 10 and 8mm socket, 1/4 inch ratchet and 10mm socket, and a clip removal tool. All right, today we're gonna be installing some headlights on our Challenger. First, we'll watch a quick video how to uninstall the stock ones, then we'll come back here to install the new ones.
All right, to replace our headlight, we are gonna have to remove our front bumper. So let's get started by removing these 2 filler panels at the top between the radiator and the front bumper, simply by reaching in and pulling them up out of the car. So our filler panel has a finger hole right here on the end, and there's one on the other side as well. So we're just going to lift that up and lift the panel out, and do the same thing for the other side. Next thing we're going to do is remove these 6 push pins that hold the bumper to the actual radiator core support. Now you'll notice that some of them are on the black trim itself, and that there are some sitting on the actual core support that are orange, or whatever color your car happens to be. Those we're not going to bother with, so we're just going to take the ones that are attached to the plastic trim for the front bumper, and we're going to use our trim removal tool to do that. So we'll just get underneath it, lift it up, and it should pop right out. Next thing to remove are the two 10mm bolts here, one on each side. So we're going to use our 1/4" drive ratchet and a 10mm socket to take those out. All right, then we'll take the one out on the other side. All right, now we can go ahead and disconnect our headlight simply by reaching in behind it, pushing down on the black release tab, and pulling the connector off the headlight. So just to have better access, turn your wheels to the inside, and then you'll be able to slip your trim removal tool underneath the edge and just pop that out. Now once you've got your 4 push pins removed, you can go ahead and peel back your fender liner, and you'll see that there's a 10mm bolt right here on the edge that bolts your bumper to your fender. And then there's another 10mm stud right up in this area here, and we're going to take the nut off of that as well, and then we can move to the other side. All right, now we're not going to be able to show you that stud because we just can't get the camera in there, but you'll be able to see it and feel it once you reach up inside here. So like I said, it's right about in this area here. So let's go ahead and get that taken off. Now once you've got your 10mm deep socket inside here and you've found that stud up here, go ahead and loosen up that nut. And then once you get it loose, you should be able to just spin it off. So once you've got that nut loose, you should be able to just twist it off with your fingers, making sure, of course, to be very careful not to drop it, and then just pull it right out. Now you can repeat that process for the other side. All right, now that we've got the 2 studs up top loose, there's 3 more push pins right here in the middle, 3 more on this side, on the driver's side, and 2 more on the passenger side. So we'll take those out, and then we'll remove these 2 front bolts for the belly pan here, and then we can actually remove our bumper. So let's go ahead and use our trim removal tool. Now we'll remove these 2 front bolts for the belly pan using our 10mm socket. Now we'll remove the 3 push pins on the driver's side. All right, now we can go ahead and pull our bumper away from the fender on both sides. Now we go ahead and pull our bumper straight out, being careful because of the studs that are holding the bumper to the fender not to damage our paint. And we also don't want to pull this too far out because our fog lights are still going to be connected. All right, now the fog lights for both sides run through one main harness, and the connector is on the passenger side, right up here underneath the windshield washer bottle. So we're just going to push in on the black release clip and pull that out. Now we can go ahead and move our bumper safely out of the way and actually get our headlight removed. Now the 3 bolts that hold in our headlight, there's one at the top here, and then there are 2 at the bottom. So you can use either an 8mm socket or a T30 Torx bit to remove those bolts. Now we'll get the 2 at the bottom. Now you can go ahead and pull your headlight out.
All right, so we're gonna get our new headlight in. We have our harness for our RGB. We're just gonna tuck that behind with our factory harness. We're gonna connect that all later. We're just gonna get this lined up on our 3 mounts. We have our 1 up top. We'll get our 8mm bolt, thread it in, just to help hold it up in place, and then thread in our 2 lower ones. I'm gonna grab my ratchet, extension, 8mm socket, and tighten all 3 of those down. All right, so we'll tighten our 2 bottom ones first. And our top one. Then you go ahead and repeat the same thing with the other headlight, and we'll get our bumper back on. Now before we get our bumper back on, we just need to plug in our fog light harness. So that's this connector right here. Push that into here, click, and we go ahead and get this back up. All right, so we'll get our bumper in place. Just be careful with your studs. Try not to scratch anything. Secure both sides, just give it a tap. Now we'll go underneath and start securing everything from the bottom, working our way up. All right, so we're underneath. We have our 2 bolts in the back of our splash shield here and our 3 push clips. Now our 3 push clips, we are missing ours, and I don't have any replacements right now, but you wanna make sure that you reinstall those so it helps to not sag underneath. But we'll grab our ratchet 10mm socket and put our 2 bolts in the back. All right, underneath on either side, we have our push clips that are at the bottom of our wheel liner. We're just gonna get those reinstalled. You may need to just move everything around a little bit to get everything lined up. Like this one here, especially because this one is a replacement panel. So everything's just a little bent on ours, but all right, I just had the wrong push clip in there. Get our bigger one in there. Now you can go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side, and then we'll go ahead and start securing everything behind our wheel liner. All right, so now we have our 10mm nut that's deep up in our wheel liner here for our stud. It's right about here on our bumper. Now, of course, you're not gonna be able to see this, but I'm just gonna get my hand up in here, thread this on, and get my ratchet, 10mm socket in there, tighten it down. You'll pretty much be able to spin it down by hand, so you can just need to snug it up. All right, now that one's secured, we just have our 10mm bolt at the top of our bumper here. Grab a ratchet and socket and tighten that down. Fold that back in place, and we have 3 push clips to reinstall. All right, get our 3 push clips, reinstall them. Now you can go ahead and secure your bumper the same way on the other side. Going across the top, we are going to reinstall our 6 push clips. Some of these are replacements, so they don't fit perfectly, but they fit good enough. Once you have that back on, we're gonna tackle our wiring. All right, just before we get to our wiring, just forgot about our 110mm stud. We're gonna get our nut threaded back on, grab our ratchet and socket, tighten that down. All right, now for our wiring, we have our factory harness here. We're gonna plug into our headlight down there. And then we have our harness that comes off of our light. Now this is for our RGB. Now we're just gonna route this across towards the middle, and then they're gonna connect together in the center. So we'll just route this over and keep going across. All right, so here you have our light harness coming from our driver's side. Already ran our passenger side one over. Easiest way to do this is just run this under and basically like in front of your fans. Now you do want to secure this harness the best you can because you do not want it just resting against the radiator right here. But we're not driving ours, so we're not going to secure it up, but you want to make sure you don't let it touch anything hot. Connect them together, secure it down out of the way. That connects our RGBs together. Make sure you put the other 10mm bolt on the passenger side for the top of the headlight, and then we just have our covers to go on. All right, like I said, I already ran our passenger side harness and plugged our light in, so make sure you do so. Reinstall our cover. Just lines up a couple tabs, sets in place. Get it around the hood release, and then you're all set to go. All right, now real quickly, we're just gonna go over the functionality of the RGB system. Now in the app, you just wanna make sure you are on output 1, and also do not touch the power button. That actually turns the whole RGB system off. You don't wanna do that. Now to have it on solid, you can just swipe this all the way down, and that will go to the standard white DRLs. Bring this bar up, and then that is how you can change to any different color DRL that you want. You also have the fade option, which will fade the colors in and out. Strobe. This is how you increase the speed if you want. And then loop. There's also some presets down here for themes. So you can choose whatever theme you want, and it will go through those colors. You can set favorites, change the speed, whatever you want to do. But just go back down here, swipe this all the way down, get back to your standard white DRL. And that wraps up our install of our Morimoto XRGB LED headlights with a black housing and clear lens for our 2015 to 23 Challenger. And remember, for everything Challenger, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.